Well, hey there, everyone. It's Laura Wilkerson, and I want to talk about something that no one really prepares you for in dementia care. Have you ever had that moment where something small happened, like a refusal, a sudden outburst, or maybe your loved one wouldn't get out of the car? And before you knew it, your whole day was spiraling. You're suddenly canceling plans, crying in the kitchen, snapping at people who are trying to help, and wondering, how did I even get here? I call that kind of moment a spark. And here's what I want you to hear today: the behavior might be the spark, but the system that you're working in is the fuel. And let's unpack what that really means and what that really looks like. Because dementia behaviors don't happen in a vacuum. Most caregivers are told that's just part of the disease, but that sentence cuts like a knife and it cuts out all of the context. And the truth is, dementia behaviors don't just appear out of nowhere. They show up in a mix of things. They show up in changes in routine, no one having time to explain what's happening, loud or chaotic environments, and doctors who don't have a full story. Or it could be a caregiver who's barely slept and is just trying to get through breakfast. So when a behavior flares up, maybe your loved one lashes out or refuses care. That's not the start of the problem. That's like the flashpoint. Everything else was already building up in the background, and you probably are the only one who actually saw it coming. That dementia behavior, it's real, but it's not random. It's a response to a system and a situation that was never designed for dementia care. And most systems aren't built to handle this mix. I've worked in hospitals, clinics, assisted livings, some of the best systems with incredible people. And still, most of them are designed for acute care, not progressive, chronic, behavior driven care like dementia. Because you have to remember, most of us healthcare providers are trained to ask, what's the symptom? What's your diagnosis? And what do I prescribe? But dementia caregiving doesn't follow that formula. The behaviors don't fit neatly into the chart. And when providers only see just a tiny little slice of what's going on in your life, they miss the full mix of what's making that problem worse. So then what happens? You go to the appointment, you explain those behaviors, and often the response is a prescription or a shrug. And not because the provider doesn't care, but because they're limited on time or they're limited by their training and a good structure that they can work in that allows for enough time for you and your person's care. But that leaves you walking out thinking, was it me? Did I not explain myself fully enough? Did I not tell them exactly what's going on and they hand me this piece of paper? No, you explained it just fine. The system just isn't designed to hold all of those layers, those very complex layers that you're managing on a day-to-day basis. That can't possibly fit in a tiny 15-minute time slot. And how do I know? Because I've done that type of care. And that's why I moved to house calls where we could spend 45 minutes to an hour block time. So now what? You go home with more questions. You feel like the only one who saw what was really going on. And you're trying to make sense of this behavior, the medications, the routines, and all of the safety concerns that you have, and somehow still be available emotionally for your loved ones. And let's be honest, most days it feels like you're flying blind because no one's helping you map out the mix. No one's looking at how behavior, environment, communication, routines, and even your own well-being all interact. But we both know you're living in that mix every single day. And if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right and it's still not working, this is why. It's not that you're missing something, it's that the support you've been given isn't built to account for all of your reality. And there's a really good way to untangle this mix because what changed for me was when I stopped trying to fix the behavior and started asking better questions like, what else is going on? Who was your person before the dementia? And that's exactly how I teach caregivers now, not just how to respond, but how to decode the system around them. Because when you can start to identify what's fueling the chaos, you can begin to change it. And that's why I created the Caregiver Gap Report. And that's why I created the Caregivers Gap Report. It outlines 7 core areas where the system unintentionally sets caregivers up to struggle and how you can start doing things differently. It's not just about managing one behavior. It's about reclaiming a sense of control in the middle of a system that often feels out of your hands. Now, you can download the Caregiver Gap Report at dementiacaregiversacademy.com/resources. And when you do, I'll also send you an invite to my free training on July 16th, where we'll go even deeper into how to handle dementia behaviors when they feel impossible. The report is your starting point, and it's where we begin building a new kind of caregiving strategy and one that includes you. And I want to let you know, you're not the issue here. You're the one that's holding everything together without a plan. All right, until next week, I'll be here sharing with you while you're caring for them.